Today we're going to talk about how we invert the interval, which is called inversion. So there are a few things that you need to remember. When you invert the interval, the number and the quality of the interval changes. And then we're going to talk about how it's going to change, okay? All right, you invert the interval, the major becomes minor. Minor becomes major, and then the perfect will stay the same. Okay, so there are largely 8 intervals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 4 intervals that we use the term perfect, which are first, fourth, fifth, and then the 8th. So these intervals we use the term perfect. And then the rest of them, it could be either major or minor. So first of all, when you invert the interval, so when you're inverting interval, basically means you move the bass note octave higher or move the highest note octave lower. Either way is fine. Okay, so that's how you invert the interval. Okay, first of all, you have to identify the given interval. So you do the number first and then the quality later. So E to G. So what is the number of interval between E and G? The third. Okay, so now you need to figure out whether it's major or minor. Okay, always go through the major scale of the lowest note. E major is the third of E major G sharp. Yes, because E major has got 4 sharps. F, C, G, D. So you have a sharp next to G, which is the third. So the third, which is a G sharp, is the third note of E major. So that becomes a major third. Okay. Now we're going to move the highest note G sharp octave lower to invert the chord. So G sharp, yeah, it's gonna be moving to the lower G sharp, and then the E will stay the same. All right. So remember that when you invert the interval, the number of the inversion is the number that you subtract the given interval from number 9. So when you add up the number of a given interval, an inversion adds up to 9. So remember that. So the inversion number is the number that you subtract the given interval from number 9. So when you add up the number of interval of the given interval and the inversion add up to 9. So without even doing that, we already know the answer. When you're inverting the interval, the major becomes a minor. And then you subtract the number of interval, the number of given interval from number 9. What is 9 minus 3? 6. So that is minor 6. I'm going to invert the chord. So let's identify the given interval first. So C to B, that's the 7th. Okay, so now we're trying to go through the C sharp major scale to see if we need any accentual there, all right, in order to form it into major or minor. Okay, so that is C sharp major. So what is the key signature of C sharp major? F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Okay, so all 7 sharps. So if that is a major, you would need the B sharp, but you don't have a B sharp, so you know that is minus 7. And then there's another shortcut to do is for the 7th is that you just need to move up by octave. And then if it is 1 step away from octave, that is a major 7. If it's 2 steps away from the perfect octave, that is the minus 7. So the given interval is minus 7. So when you invert it, you know the minor will change it to major. All right, and then the number of the given interval you have to subtract from 9, and that is the number of the inversion chord. So what is number you get after you subtract the given interval from 9? Second. So that becomes a major second. So this time I'm trying to move the highest note octave lower. So it's gonna be here, and then C sharp. So what is the interval between B to C sharp? The second. And then B major, we now go through the major scale of the lowest note B, which you need a sharp next to C, because B major is how many sharps? F, C, G, D, A, 5 sharps. So you will need a C sharp, right, for the second of B major scale. So that is the major second. All right, so now let's go through the next one. So first of all, we're going to identify the given interval, the number first, and then the quality later. So that's E to A. E F, G, A. So that's the fourth. All right. So you say A flat, fourth note of E flat. What is the key signature of E flat? B, E, A. All right, 3 flats. So you need a flat next to A because the E flat major got 3 flats, which are B, E, A. So you need a flat for the fourth, so that becomes the perfect fourth. All right. So when you invert the chord of a perfect, the perfect stays the same, and then the number of the inversion becomes the number that you subtract the given interval from number 9. So when you add up the number of the given interval and inversion, add up to 9. So the inversion will be perfect fifth. Okay, so this time I'm trying to move the highest note up the lower, and then the bass note stays the same. Okay, so let's figure out to see if it really makes sense. Okay, so now what is the interval of A to E? A, B, C, D, E, the fifth, right? And then is E flat fifth note of A flat major? Yes, so that is perfect fifth, and that makes sense. All right, so now we're trying to do the next one, B to A, which is the seventh. Okay, now we're trying to see if it's a major or minor. Okay, so we're just gonna do the shortcut. All right, so we just go up by an octave to see how many semitones away from A to perfect octave. So A is 2 semitones away from perfect octave. Alright, so I'm trying to invert the chord. So I'll keep the highest note stay the same and then moving the bass one octave higher. So is B the second note of A major scale? Yes, that is major second.